Hi Aces, welcome back to our Vegas Aces YouTube channel. My name is Angela Marie and I'll be your host for today. In this video, we'll give you an easy to follow guide that simplifies craps, explaining all of the lingo, rules, bets, odds, and etiquette to help you play like a pro. But before we get started, I just want to remind you to like, subscribe, and make sure you hit that notification bell so that way you'll always be notified of our latest videos and live streams. Now, on with the show.
Craps can seem like a complicated game. However, if broken down to its core elements, it can be seen as just another straightforward casino game. In a typical casino game, there's a main bet and a side bet. And it's the same with craps. The main bet is your pass line bet, where the player is betting that a certain number will roll twice before a 7 is rolled. There are two variations of this main pass line bet, which includes the come bet and the place bet. On each of these variations, the player is betting that a certain number will hit before a 7. All of the rest of the bets can be considered side bets that the players will play as they're waiting for their main bets to hit. The first roll on a craps game is called the come-out roll. A new round begins on the come-out roll when the puck is marked as off. Now, on all dice tables, there is a puck that is black on one side and white on the other. Most will have an on and an off on them. When the puck is black, it signifies that it is the come-out roll. The casino requires a mandatory bet on the pass line or don't pass line in order for the shooter to roll the dice. The stickman will offer the shooter 5 dice to choose from, and the shooter will pick up 2 of those 5 dice. Don't get too cool for school and toss 3 of the dice back to the dealer like you're the Fonz. Be warned, in craps, that's just jumping the shark. It's not as slick as you think. On the come-out roll, if the shooter rolls a 7 or an 11, then all of the players will win even money on their pass line bet. If the dice rolls a 2, 3, or 12, then this is known as craps or crapping out, and the pass line bet will lose. The house edge for the pass line is 1.41%. For the don't pass bets, the exact opposite will occur, where on the come-out roll, a 7 or an 11 will lose and a 2 or a 3 will win. However, keep in mind the term bar 12, which means that your bet will push if a 12 is rolled. Keeping in mind that bar 12 is a tie, the house edge for the don't pass line is 1.36%. If the shooter rolls a 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, or 10, then a point is established, and the puck will be turned to the on position with the white showing and placed on the appropriate number. Once a point is established, in order for the pass line to win, it's the shooter's goal to roll the point number again before rolling a 7, which is known as a 7 out. If the shooter rolls a 7, then the pass line loses and the dice will be passed clockwise to the new shooter. However, if the shooter rolls the point, then the pass line wins. The shooter will keep the dice and a new round will begin. Keep in mind, the only numbers that matter once a point has been established are the point itself and the number 7. The don't pass is the opposite. You want the 7 to roll before the point. The rest of the numbers will remain unaffected unless the player is betting on a side bet, such as the field or one of the proposition bets. Now, we will discuss taking and laying odds. After the point has been established, players can take odds by placing an additional wager behind their pass line bet. The odds will be paid differently depending on what number the point is. So if the point is a 4 or a 10, then the odds will be paid 2 to 1. If the point is a 5 or a 9, then the odds will be paid 3 to 2. And if the point is a 6 or 8, then the odds will be paid 6 to 5. The 6 and the 8 are the most popular numbers to play because they get rolled the most often. So believe it or not, there's actually a 6 to 5 bet in the casino that is popular. The odds are paid as true odds, meaning there's no house advantage. Taking odds is the best bet in the house. For example, on the pass line, the player will place a $10 wager with an additional $10 odds bet behind their pass line bet, about 2 finger widths apart. With the point being 9, if the shooter rolls the 9 before a 7, the pass line bet will be paid $10, or even money, and the odds wager will be paid $15, or 3 to 2. The pass line always wins even money, and the odds bet will always be paid the appropriate odds. Laying odds on the don't pass line is the same as taking odds on the pass line, except reversed. Remember, the don't pass line is the exact opposite of the pass line. For example, if the point is a 9 and the player laid odds on the don't pass line and a 7 hits, then instead of being paid 3 to 2, like he would if he was playing odds on the pass line, it would be reversed, and the player would be paid 2 to 3. His 3 red chips, $15, would be paid with 2 red chips, $10. The player has to lay $15 to win $10. Once a point has won or lost, the puck is returned to the off position, or the black side of the puck, and a new come-out roll begins. If the shooter 7 outs, a new shooter begins the next come-out roll. Now here's a breakdown on how the odds are calculated. When rolling 2 dice, the probability of rolling a certain combination is 1/36. That means there are 36 combinations of numbers that the dice could possibly roll, and not all of those numbers are created equal. There are some combinations that show up much more frequently than others. 2 and 12 are rolled the least because there's only one combination that can give us these numbers, while the number 7 has the most combinations, or number of ways it can be rolled. 7 is the only number out of the group that has 6 combinations. This means there's a higher probability of rolling a 7 than there is of rolling a 2, which is why the casino takes your money on the number 7 and not on the number 2. There's a 16.67% chance that the player will roll a 7 compared to the 2.78% chance that they'll roll a 2. And that's why it's always good to know the probability before playing a game. That's why betting on the don'ts is the smarter move. So join the dark side. We have cookies. Playing the come bet is similar to playing another pass line bet, except on the numbers that aren't designated as the point. If the player wants to bet on a number that isn't a point, such as a 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, they would do so by betting on the come. Because why only sweat over one number when you can add more to the mix? For example, after a point has been established, let's say a 5 is the point, to add to the amount of numbers to bet on, one of the ways to do so is by making a come bet. You simply place a bet directly in front of you in the area that says come. Once a number is rolled, let's say a 4, the dealer will move your come bet to 4. Now each player can only make one come bet per roll, and players may only bet after a point has been established. As with the pass line, if a 7 or an 11 are rolled, then the come bet will win. If 2, 3, or 12 are rolled, then the bet will lose. If any other number is rolled, then the bet will be moved to that numbered box in front of the dealer, and now the player can take odds. Now, just like with the pass line, you can take odds on this bet. Place the amount you want for odds in the same place you made your come bet and say, odds on my 4. In this case, we'll take $10 odds. The dealer will place your $10 odds on top of your come bet. Now you have 2 numbers bet on, the point and your come bet on 4. You can make as many come bets as you wish. The bets will win if that number is repeated before rolling a 7. The winning come bets are paid in the same way as the pass line bets. On a 4, the odds will pay 2 to 1, and the original come bet, just like the pass line, will pay even money. If you fully understand the pass line and the don't pass line, then you already understand the come and don't come bets because they're exactly the same bets with the same rules. Now, let's look at the don't come bet. Again, after a point has been established, if you want to bet against any additional numbers, you place a bet in the don't come box. But be warned, when betting the don'ts, people will put you in a box and act like you're playing against them personally. Good luck getting out of that one. Think of the don't come bet as being exactly the opposite as the come bet. If a point is established and a 7 is rolled, the don't come bets win. If the point is rolled, the don't come bets lose. For example, when a number is rolled, let's use the 4 again, the dealer moves your bet in the area behind the 4, indicating this is a bet against the 4. Now you can add your odds to this bet. In this case, we'll lay $20 to win $10. Instead of being paid 2 to 1, the odds for the don't is reversed to 1 to 2. You bet 2 chips to get paid 1 chip. This is because a 7 is more likely to roll than any other number. If a 7 rolls before a 4, this bet will win. If a 4 rolls, this bet will lose. Now, let's look at this situation as an example. There are 2 players, one playing come bets, the other playing don't come bets. Let's imagine there's a pass line winner and we are on a new come out roll. Here's what happens to your come bets. Remember that the come bets are always working or active and are never turned off. However, the odds associated with that come bet will be turned off when the puck indicates so. If the shooter rolls a winner 7, the stickman will say something like, winner 7, all working bets, save the odds. What this means is that the odds you had on your come bets will be returned to you, but you lose the original come bet. Now, conversely, if the dice roll a number with an existing come bet on it, you will only get paid for the original come bet. Now, the player who has multiple don't come bets on the table, when a winner 7 rolls on the come out roll, all of their bets will win, including their flat bet and odds.
It's like watching The Odd Couple, but with dice. Now that you understand how come bets increases the amount of numbers you can bet on, let's discuss another way you can bet on multiple numbers with place bets. This is a great way to spread out your bets across the numbers because, just like with eggs, you don't want to put all your bets in one basket. Unlike come bets where the dice determines what number you bet on, with a place bet, you choose what numbers you wish to bet on. Place bets are similar to come bets, except you don't need 2 rolls of the dice before you get paid. However, since you are picking the numbers instead of the dice determining the number, the odds are paid slightly less. After a point has been established, you can bet on additional numbers. In the same area you would place your come bet, put down the money you wish to bet and tell the dealer both the numbers and the amount you wish to bet. The player is betting that their selected number will be rolled before a 7. Place bets will continue to win each time they roll before a 7, and all lose once a 7 out is rolled. If a 4 or 10 wins, then the odds will be paid 9-5, giving us a house edge of 6.67%. If a 5 or 9 wins, then the odds will be paid 7-5, giving us a house edge of 4%. And if a 6 or 8 wins, we give a house edge of 1.52%. In this example, we will place a $25 chip down and say to the dealer, 6 and 8, $12 each. You can also just say 6 and 8. The dealer will know how much you want. Now, when a 6 or 8 is rolled, you will be paid $14 each time. The difference between come bets and place bets is that with a come bet, your money will come down when the number hits. With a place bet, your money will stay up to hopefully win again. However, another bonus with place bets, if you wish to call your place bets down by simply telling the dealer, down on my number. Side note, it's important to understand to never reach inside the number boxes. This is the dealer's working area, and only the dealer's hands are allowed in this area. Think of the dealer's area like their personal bubble. Respect the dealer's bubble. No hands in the number boxes. We learned this in kindergarten, and it still applies today. If the player wants to receive the correct payout for a 4, 5, 9, or 10 place bet, then their odds should be made in increments of $5. If the player wants to make a correct payout for a 6 or an 8, then their odds bet should be in increments of $6. Now let's see what happens when there is a point winner. If you remember in the come bet lesson, if a 7 rolls, you lose your original bet and get your odds returned. And if your number rolls, you only get paid on the original bet. With place bets, your bets are off on the come out roll. So if a number is rolled where you have a place bet, the dealer will ask you, what would you like to do with your bet? You have the option to either take it down, move it to another number, or keep it on the number it is already on. Another option? Place your bet in this cute gambling money piggy bank. Save up for casino night and always have the perfect bankroll ready to go. Get yours now and never scramble for cash when it's time to play. You can find the link to this in the description below. Now let's discuss buy bets and lay bets. On the 4 and 10, the odds on a place bet pay 9-5. But if we buy the 4 and 10, we get the true odds of 2-1. It will cost you 5% of your wager because of the vig, but this takes the house edge from 6.67% down to 4.67%. Lay bets are like the buy bets, except they're designated for the don'ts. Let's look at this example. Player 1 will buy the 4 for $20. At the same time, player 2 will lay the 4 for $40. This vigorish or vig will cost you 5%. For the buy bet, we pay it on the amount we wager. For the lay bet, we pay it for the amount we will win. In both cases, it is $20, which 5% of is $1. On the lay bet, the vig will be paid at the time the bet is made. For the buy bet, the vig will be collected either before or after the bet wins, depending on the casino's rules. So now if a 4 rolls, the lay bet will lose. The dealer will announce down behind the 4, and the buy bet will be paid 2-1. The dealer will cut out $40 and ask the player for $1 vig, or we'll take it out of the payout. The bet will stay up to win again unless the player wishes to take the bet down. If a 7 out rolls, the buy bet loses and the lay bet will be paid 1-2. The dealer will announce paying behind and pay the $40 lay bet $20, and then place the winning bet inside the don't come box for the player to collect. You heard that right. This is one of the rare times in a casino where the player bets more than they win. In this fairy tale, betting more than you win sounds scary, but don't worry, it's not a trick, it's a treat. The odds are in your favor as you are more likely to win on this bet. Field bets are probably the easiest bet on a craps table, which is why this video is so short.
The field bet can be placed at any time. This is a one-roll bet that on the next roll of the dice, if a 2, 3, 4, 9, 10, 11, or 12 roll, you win. If a 5, 6, 7, or an 8 roll, the bet will lose. If a 3, 4, 9, 10, or 11 hit, the player will be paid even money. If a 2 or a 12 roll, the player will win 2 to 1. Depending on what casino you're in, a 12 could also pay 3 to 1. If the 12 pays 3 to 1, then the house edge for the field is 2.78%, which is better for the player. If the 12 pays 2 to 1, then the house edge goes up to 5.56%. Now it's important to understand that this bet is what's called a self-service bet, which means you place the bet in the field. If it wins, the dealer's only responsibility is to pay it. You are responsible to pick up your winnings, or else it will go for the next roll and possibly lose. Remember, a dealer's keeping track of possibly 7 or 8 players, so they can't keep track of who played what in the field. The dealer only pays or takes it. So it's important to always pay attention to the game and to where your bets are at all times, and not be distracted by cocktails, talking to friends, or that naked drunk guy dancing on the blackjack table. Remember, this is your money on the table and you don't want to lose track of it. The prop box in reality is quite easy to understand. Simply put, you're betting that the dice will roll just like the pictures on the layout. Before we get started, I want to quickly explain the difference between 2 and 4. On some craps tables, you will see the props payout say 10-4-1, while other tables say 9-2-1. This is exactly the same thing. If a player bets $1 and wins 9-2-1, they will receive $9, and their $1 chip stays up on the table. If the player bets $1 and wins 10-4-1, they will receive $10. However, the casino will take their original $1 bet. In the end, both players have $10. Keep this in mind when you see the payouts 2-1 or 4-1. Now, there are 2 different types of bets in the prop box, one-roll bets and all-day bets. First, let's take a look at all-day bets. These are also called the hardways bets. The hardways are 4, 6, 8, and 10. What you are betting here is simply saying that the next 4, 6, 8, and 10 are going to be rolled as a pair, 2-2, 3-3, 4-4, or 5-5. If the number comes any other way than what is pictured, it's called an easy way, and the bet loses. Also, if a 7 rolls, the bets will lose as well. Guess not all bets win on Easy Street. The table minimums for the prop box are lower than what the table minimum is for the game itself. Most casinos will let you play dollar bets in the prop box, even if the table minimum to play the game is a $10 bet. However, if you are only playing the prop box, some casinos will mandate that you must play the table minimum. Let's take a look at how the hardways can be played if you have a bet on the pass line of $10. You roll an 8 as your point. Taking an additional $10 for your odds, you are hoping to roll an 8 before a 7 to win your bets. Now, as a side bet, you can throw $5 to the stick man and say $5 hard 8. Now, if you roll any 8 before a 7, you'll win on the pass line. But if you roll an 8 and it comes up 4-4, you win both bets, the pass line and the hard 8 bet, which will be paid 9-1. The hard 8 and 6 pays 9-1, while the hard 4 and 10 pays 7-1. The reason for this is if you look at the graph again, you'll see that there are 4 ways to roll an easy 6 and 8 and only 2 ways to roll a 4 and a 10. You can bet one or all of the hard ways if you wish, but here are some rules when betting them. Rule number 1. All prop bets should be made while the dice are in the center of the table. Rule number 2. Listen to the stick man. Once they bring the dice back to the center of the table, they will call out prop bets by saying things like, "Get your hardways, hardway money now." This lets the players know that this is the time to make your bets. To do this, simply toss the amount you want bet to the stick man and say $5 hard 8 or all the hardways $1 each. Remember, while the dealers on the sides of the table may have to keep track of 7 or 8 players at a time, the stick man has to keep track of all the players on both sides of the table who are making prop bets. So when you make your bet, be sure the dealer on the base or the stick man knows you are betting it. You want to avoid making late bets because this will disrupt the flow of the game, and the dealer will actually say no bet if the bet comes in too late. Now let's take a look at the other bets in the prop box. The rest of these bets are one-roll bets, meaning the dice have to come up on what you bet on the next roll of the dice or the bet loses. One-roll bets are like playing the lottery, except on a table game. High risk, high reward. Think of them as the roller coaster of craps. Hold on tight because it's over before you know it. You will see that the odds for these bets pay off a lot more than the hard ways because they must win on the next roll of the dice. If these bets don't win via the next dice roll, they will lose and be taken by the dealer. You can tell what are one-roll bets or all-day bets by the color of the text on the layout. The first one we will discuss is the C and E bet. The C stands for any craps, and the E stands for an 11. A crap number, as we learned in the first lesson, is 2, 3, or 12. If either of these numbers come up on the next roll of the dice, you will be paid 7 to 1. If an 11 rolls, you will be paid 15 to 1. This is a $2 minimum bet, $1 each for the C and the E. Now the next bet we'll take a look at is the horn bet. This bet uses the same four numbers as a C and E bet, the 2, 3, 11, and 12, but we are betting each number individually. This will be a $4 minimum bet, so a $1 for each number. If a 2 or 12 rolls on the next roll of the dice, the $1 on the 2 or 12 will be paid 30 to 1, minus the other $3 bet for a total payout of $27. If a 3 or an 11 is rolled, the $1 will be paid 15 to 1, minus the other $3 for a total payout of $12. I quickly want to point out an important note. These prop bets are one-roll bets. However, the casino will always pay your winning bets while keeping your bet up to win again. After you are paid and while the dice are in the center of the table, you can either add more money to your prop bets or tell the dealer to take your bets down. The vast majority of players will keep their bets up to win again. The next prop bet we will discuss are the horn high bets. Now, if you understand the horn bets, then you already know the horn high bets. It is simply a horn bet, but with an extra dollar on the 2, 3, 11, or 12. These bets are made in $5 increments. An example is, if you make a $5 horn high 12, it is simply a horn bet with $2 on a 12. Should a 12 roll, the $2 on the 12 will be paid 30 to 1, minus the remaining $3 for a total payout of $57. Now let's go over some of the terminology of the prop box. There are some slang terms that are used on the game that might sound confusing, so let's go over some of the basic ones. If both dice show a 1-1, this is called aces or snake eyes. If both dice show a 6-6, this is called boxcars. If the dice show a 1-2, this is called ace-deuce. If the dice show an 11, this is called a yo. And the reason why an 11 is called a yo is because in a loud casino, an 11 might sound like a 7. So to avoid confusion, an 11 is called a yo. As a side note, it's an unwritten rule that you never say the word 7 on a craps table. This is considered bad luck, and players just don't want to hear it. It's kind of like saying Beetlejuice 3 times, except here you only need to say it once to cause chaos. Which brings us to the next bet in the prop box, the any 7 bet. This bet is saying the next roll of the dice will be a 7. If it is, it pays 4 to 1. So how do we bet this without saying the word 7? We call this bet the big red, or just red. Obviously my favorite bet. To bet this, you can throw in $5 and say, $5 big red. When considering proposition odds, keep in mind that every casino is different, so some casinos might pay different odds than other casinos. Now that you know how to play the game, let's talk about the very first thing you need to do when you walk up to a table, which is to look and see where the dice are. If you look and see that the dice are not in the middle of the table, do not put your hands into the playing area. The dice have already been handed to the shooter and they're about to roll. So if you place your hands in the game and the dice hit your hands and they 7 out, congratulations! You've just become the villain in everyone's casino story. Not exactly a good way to start the game. The second thing you need to do is to look and see where the puck is on the table. If it is turned to the off position, which is the black background with white text saying off, we know that it is the come out roll, and it's okay to place your money on the table so you can get your chips that you'll be playing with. If the puck is turned to the on position, which is the white background with the black text saying on, and it is also on a number, although not against the rules, it's considered to be bad etiquette and bad luck to buy in the middle of a roll. That's why it's good to wait until there is a new come out roll before you start playing. Now that we've gone over when to buy in, let's discuss how to buy in. When you walk up to the craps table and see the puck is off and it is okay to buy in, place your money in the come area and say change. All transactions, whether they come from the player or the dealer, must always go through the come area. The dealer will take your money and cut out the appropriate amount in chips and then hand it off to you. Now that you have your chips and are ready to play, whether you're going to play the pass line or not, Always place your chips in the wooden chip rack on the table directly in front of you. This chip rack is designed to hold and organize your casino chips. If you want to make a come bet, again, place it in the come area directly in front of you. If you wish to make place bets, the same thing goes. Place the chips in front of you in one nice stack and tell the dealer what numbers and how much you'd like to bet. Or you can bet the numbers individually. Do not splash the chips on the layout. Splashing them everywhere might feel festive, but this isn't a pool party. To keep this game moving smoothly, it's very important to make all bets and transactions while the dice are in the middle of the table. When it's your turn to shoot the dice, the stick person will push 5 dice your way for you to choose from. You'll pick up the 2 dice you want to shoot with and leave the other 3 dice on the table. Once you choose the dice you want, from that point on, you may only use one hand on the dice at all times. Now, if you are shooting dice and you wish to switch hands, you must place the dice on the table and then pick them up with the other hand. The dealers and supervisor must be able to see the dice at all times. When shooting the dice, you must have a pass or don't pass line wager. This is the only time a player must bet on the pass line or don't pass line, is if they are shooting. If the player's not shooting the dice, then they don't have to bet the pass or don't pass line if they don't want to. Now here are some additional do's and don'ts while handling dice. Do not use 2 hands to shake the dice. When shooting the dice, use your fingertips to hold them. You have much more control instead of shaking them in your hand. Do not palm the dice, which means enclosing your hand around the dice. The dealers cannot lose sight of the dice. If you're holding the dice and wish to reach for your chips, just place the dice on the table first and then reach for the chips. Do not take the dice off the table. The dice must be inside the table at all times. If you need to reach for a drink, leave the dice on the table first. When throwing the dice, avoid short rolls. You want the dice to hit the alligator skin against the back roll. When they will still count as a roll, the dealers and floor supervisor will remind you to get the dice to the wall. This ensures a fair roll for everyone. Also, do not throw the dice too high. Keep the dice low to the table for better control. A good aiming point is right in the middle of the word come, right down the center of the table. Aiming here will almost always get the dice to the wall. Don't try to hit players' bets. This will make both players and dealers mad at you. If the dice have been in your favor and you are showing a profit, remember, dealers earn their living on tips. Any bet that you can make for yourself, you can make a bet for the dealers. Throw out your wager along with the dealer's tip and say, two-way. Trust me, two-way are the magic words to instantly become the dealer's favorite player. Right after, I tip like a George. Now that you understand how to play the game of craps, let's go over 2 of the most basic strategies. The first strategy involves come bets, and the second strategy involves place bets. But before we do that, it's important to understand that there is no foolproof way to play. There are no systems that will guarantee that you win. If someone tells you that they have a guaranteed system where you'll win every time, they are lying to you or trying to scam you out of money. Think about it. If they had a system that wins every time, why aren't they rich? And why would they be so eager to sell that life-changing secret to you? Same with those dice control schools. They're scams. They'll charge you thousands of dollars and then blame you for doing it wrong when you realize it doesn't work. There is no special way to hold the dice or how to throw the dice. If there were such ways to guarantee that you win, the casino would never let you use them. And if there was a way to beat craps or any other table game, the casinos wouldn't have those games on the casino floor. So let's begin. Rule number 1 for any type of gambling is to play with an amount of money that you can afford to lose. Bankroll management is incredibly important when it comes to smart gaming. Keep in mind that gambling is a form of entertainment and not a way to pay bills. You want to play with an amount you can afford to lose. A good rule of thumb on how much to start with is to take your starting wager and multiply it by 10. For example, if you start with $12 on 6 and 8 for a total of $24, you should buy in at least $200 to $240. This gives you at least 10 chances to hopefully find a shooter who's going to hold the dice for a while and make you a profit. Now, when you walk up to a craps table, the very first thing you must do is to look and see where the dice are. We discussed this in the last video, but it's so important, we're going to say this one more time. If the dice are not in the center of the table, that tells you that the shooter, wherever they are on the table, has the dice in their hands and is ready to throw them. So you don't want to stick your hands out and have the dice hit your hands and then have them roll a 7 out. If that happens, everyone's going to be mad at you, and that's not a good way to start your game. The next thing you need to look at is where the puck is on the table. Remember in a previous lesson, while not against the rules, it's considered bad etiquette to buy in the middle of a roll. So if there's already a point, wait until the next come-out roll. Now that it's a new come-out roll, it's your time to shine and buy in. Just don't try it in the middle of a roll unless you want to collect dirty looks instead of chips. Let's start with $200. Place the money directly in front of you in the area that says come and say change. The dealer will take the money and give you your chips to play with. Now, let's go over the first betting strategy using come bets. First, you will make the table minimum bet on the pass line. Once a point has been established, place an equal amount behind your pass line bet. This is also known as taking odds. Next, you will place another bet in the come area. This wager needs to be at least the table minimum. When another number is rolled, it's time to take odds. Place an equal wager in the come area and tell the dealer this is your odds. The dealer will place your odds on your come bet. Do this until you have a pass line bet with odds and 2 come bets with odds. Each time the pass line or your come bet wins, start again with a table minimum bet. But this time, increase the amount of odds to 2 times your original wager. Keep repeating this method until you reach the table maximum for odds. You can increase the amount of come bets you have if you wish, depending on your bankroll management. But each time you win a bet increase, the odds. Odds have a 0% house edge, making it the best bet in the house. When a 7 out rolls, start all over with 1 times odd bets. Speaking of maximizing your game, elevate your craps experience with this 2-inch acrylic red jumbo dice. Perfect for enthusiasts, it serves as a vibrant decoration, unique paperweight, or functional dice for play. Its substantial size and vivid color make it a standout addition to any setting. Don't miss out on enhancing your game night or workspace. Order yours today. Now, let's go over the second betting strategy using place bets. This strategy does not involve making a pass line bet. Remember, only the shooter must make a pass line bet. Otherwise, the pass line bet is not mandatory for any other player. Once a point has been established, make 2 $12 place bets on the 6 and 8 for a total wager of $24. When one of these place bets hits, it will pay $14. When they hit twice, you've collected $28 and have profited $4. Now you are playing with the house's money. When one of the numbers hits again, you have one of 3 options. You can either press one of your bets, or you can add money to both your place bets, or you can use your winnings to bet on more numbers. In this example, we have our $12 wager on the 6 and 8, and have already hit them twice. Now they hit a third time for another $14. You tell the dealer to press 6 and 8. The dealer will add another $6 to each of the numbers. When that bet hits again, it will pay $21. Collect this money and keep it. If the bet hits again, say to the dealer, place the 5 and 9 for $10. So in this example, we've gone from just 6 and 8 to betting 5, 6, 8, and 9, all with the casino's money. From this point on, any and all money we collect is profit. If we're fortunate enough to reach this stage, we now do what is called take a bet, press a bet. When a number hits, first you take the full payout. When one of your numbers hits again, this time you press the bet. Either do a full press, which is double what you have, or you could just press a unit at a time. For example, 1 unit on the 5 and 9 is $5, and 1 unit on the 6 and 8 is $6. All you have to say is press or press a unit, and the dealer will know how much to press. Continue doing this until you reach $25 on the 5 and 9 and $30 on the 6 and 8. At this point, every 3 numbers hit is $105 in profit. When a 7 out rolls, start again with $12 on the 6 and 8. Now you've seen the 2 most popular betting strategies in craps, so let's discuss the final lesson, betting for the dealers. It's no secret that most of the people who work in casinos live on their tips, and dealers are no exception. To make it simple, any bet that you can make for yourself, you can also make for the dealers as well. You can either give them a tip outright, or you can bet for your dealer. A bet right next to your pass line bet alongside your field bet, or 2 ways on a hard way, are some of the most popular ways to tip your dealer. Another bet that dealers like is as simple as giving the dealer just $6 and saying across for the dealers, which means $1 on all the numbers. This might not seem like a lot of money, but if the shooter holds the dice for just 5 to 10 minutes, that $6 can turn into some serious money. And naturally, once you make a bet for the dealer, you become their favorite player and they start taking care of you. On the flip side, if you're winning big but ignoring the tip jar, then dealers won't say a word when you're about to make a bad bet. It's like seeing someone walk into a glass door. They notice, but they're just gonna let it happen.
Anyway, that's the end of today's video on how to play craps. Thank you so much, Aces, for joining me today. And on your next trip to the casino, you should feel confident about how to play and hopefully win on the craps table. We have an announcement. We are currently hiring casino dealers and floor supervisors to write scripts for our how-to YouTube videos. We're looking for dealers who know craps, pai-gow tiles, or big baccarat. However, we need scripts for any game we don't already have a course for. We are also looking for floor supervisors who are interested in teaching people how to do their job. Email us a list of the games you can deal, how long you've been dealing or supervising, and a sample of your writing to heather@vegas-aces.com. Bonus points if you can be an actor and/or deal the game in our videos. Must be either located in Las Vegas or have access to a casino that will let you film at their location. Just a quick reminder, Vegas Aces is supported by viewers like you. Donations make it possible for all of these videos to be brought to you for free. If you think this video is worth more than $0, then please donate the amount you feel it is worth by clicking the link in the description below. Do you want to see our content 5 days early? Subscribe to us on Patreon, where we give our patrons exclusive early access and coach new dealers on how to get into the industry. The folks on the screen right now are our Patreon producers. Every single name is a person in the world who supports this channel, so we can keep going, and we're so grateful to them that they've allowed us to go on this really remarkable journey. Thanks everyone for being a part of this. If you can't afford to financially support us, then help us update our World Toke Board. This shows the toke numbers for casino dealers around the world, but we can't update these numbers if people don't contribute. You can anonymously send us your toke numbers via our toke line or by emailing heather@vegas-aces.com. Also, if you liked what you saw, please like and subscribe. Our business also helps casino game inventors with bringing their game, bringing their idea to fruition, and onto the casino floor. If you have a casino game you want to develop, email us. You can find a link to our email in the description below. And if you're looking for even more content, check out our other videos here on the screen. We also offer interview transcripts, flashcards, dealer instruction manuals, the world's first toke board, and so much more, all at our website, vegas-aces.com. You can find all of these links in the description below. Until next time, stay lucky, Aces.